Damian lived in a luxury penthouse in one of New York's tallest buildings. He was extremely rich and powerful, a self-made businessman known as a living legend. Because of his pride and obsession with success, Damian ignored his family. As a result, his only daughter left him and chose a simple life as a social worker, rejecting his wealth. Damian never looked back until fate hit him hard. He was now old and suffering from incurable cancer. His money could not save him, and the thought of growing old felt like an insult to him. Damian refused to accept death. He was determined to defeat both age and illness. That's when he found a business card from Phoenix Biogenic Lab that promised help. At the lab, he met Dr. Albright, a genius scientist. He introduced Damian to a technology called shedding. Shedding could transfer a person's consciousness, memories, and identity into a new, young, healthy body. Damian was stunned. Damian asked Dr. Albright how many people had already gone through the shedding process. Albright replied that fewer than a dozen people had used it because the technology was very rare and meant only for special individuals. He then showed Damian the body meant for the transfer, a young, healthy body created in a lab. It was not a real person, but a genetically engineered, empty vessel ready to receive Damian's consciousness. Everything felt like science fiction to Damian. Albright explained that this technology was highly secret and only offered to people whose death would be a loss to humanity, like Edison, Einstein, or Steve Jobs. Then Albright revealed the cost, $250 million. The biggest condition was that Damian Hale must officially die. He would have to leave behind his identity, wealth, and past life and live under a new name. Damian had little time to decide. His life was slipping away fast. Back home, he searched for information about shedding but found almost nothing except an interview of a neurologist who believed death was just a disease and that humans could one day move into better bodies. While watching the interview, Damian suddenly collapsed. He survived after being rushed to the hospital, but now he knew death could come anytime. From the hospital bed, Damian called Albright and agreed to the procedure. Albright reminded Damian one last time that once he agreed, there would be no return to his old life. The world would have to believe that Damian Hale was dead. Damian accepted the condition. The next day, he went to New Orleans as instructed. He invited his only friend and business partner, Martin, to a restaurant. Albright had already planned everything. Something was mixed into Damian's coffee. After drinking it, he suffered a severe allergic reaction and struggled to breathe. An ambulance arrived immediately and took him to Albright's secret lab. Damian was still alive when he was placed into the shedding machine. On the other side was the empty, lab-made body. Albright warned him to remove any metal, as the machine was fully magnetic. Damian said he had none, and the process began. Bright lights and spinning images filled Damian's vision. Then everything went dark. When he opened his eyes, a doctor stood in front of him and asked if he could hear and what his name was. Damian answered, but the doctor walked away without reacting. Damian feared the process had failed until he looked at his hand. It was the hand of a young man. The process had worked. Damian's body was completely changed. He was now young, strong, and handsome. Beside him lay his original body, now dead, which the doctors later handed over to his family. To the world, Damian Hale no longer existed. He had to live with a new identity. At first, Damian struggled to adjust to the new body. He had trouble walking and speaking and often suffered from seizures and hallucinations. Albright explained these were side effects and that the body and mind needed time to sink. Albright gave him red pills and warned him to take them every day for a year. They were essential to control the side effects. Stopping the pills would cause severe pain, vomiting, and death. Damian then began physical training. Slowly, he felt his new strength. For the first time in years, he could breathe freely. He laughed, ran, and felt pure joy, like a child given a second life. Once his body fully adjusted, Albright gave him a new identity, Edward Kidner, a man whose parents and sister had died in an accident, leaving him alone in the world. With a week's supply of pills, Edward moved into his new luxury home. He embraced his new life and enjoyed everything he had missed before. One morning, while playing basketball with his neighbors, Edward felt incredible speed and power. He easily outplayed everyone. Impressed, one of the players approached him and introduced himself as Anton. Anton told him that he lived near Damian's house. Soon, the two became good friends. Anton believed strongly in fate and always wore a coin necklace, which he considered lucky. When Anton said he had come to the city just to enjoy life, Damian made him his partner. Together, they began living a wild and luxurious life, and Damian enjoyed his youth to the fullest. One day, Damian forgot to take his pill. Suddenly, he suffered a seizure, followed by a severe headache and disturbing visions of military mission, a woman, a sick child, a farmhouse, and a water tower painted like a pumpkin. The visions felt real, like memories rather than hallucinations. He collapsed in the bathroom, but quickly took his medicine and survived. The next morning, Damian went to Albright's office and described everything: the sick child, the unknown woman, and the pumpkin water tower. He also said the child looked at him with hope, as if she were his own daughter. Albright dismissed it as a minor side effect, saying it was just hallucinations caused by the new body and mind mixing old memories. He claimed the images had no real meaning and told Damian not not to worry as long as he kept taking his pills. Suddenly, Damian was shocked. "How did you know the woman was Mexican?" "I never told you that." Albright looked uncomfortable and quickly avoided the question. He handed Damian a flight ticket and advised him to go on a short trip to clear his mind and create new memories. He warned Damian never to skip his medication again. Damian did not argue at that moment. He took the ticket and began preparing for the trip, but the strange visions kept replaying in his mind like real memories. Out of curiosity, he searched online for the Pumpkin Water Tower. To his shock, he found an exact match. The tower was real and located in St. Louis. Damian realized that Albright was hiding something. For emergencies, he had secretly stored money in a cemetery. He retrieved the cash and left for the trip. Albright's men followed him closely, but at the airport, Damian managed to escape them. Instead of flying to Hawaii, he secretly bought a ticket to St. Louis. He arrived near the same Pumpkin Water Tower from his visions and found a farmhouse nearby exactly like the one in his memories. The door was already open. Inside, Damian found a photograph of the same woman he had seen in his visions, along with medical bills and a picture of the sick child who called him father. As he went deeper inside, Damian froze. He saw a photograph of the man whose body he was now living in. The truth hit him hard. The woman was that man's wife, and the child was his daughter. Albright had lied. The body was not lab-made. It belonged to a real person, and the visions were not hallucinations. They were the man's real memories. Damian learned that the man whose body he was using was a retired soldier. Guilt filled his heart. He wanted a new life, but not at the cost of stealing someone else's. Suddenly, a woman appeared behind him with a gun, mistaking him for a thief. She warned him to leave, saying she had already spent all the insurance money on her daughter's treatment. When Damian turned around, the woman froze in shock. Crying, she called him Mark. She was Madeline, the wife of Mark, the man whose body Damian now lived in. Madeline believed her husband was dead, and seeing him alive left her in disbelief. Damian tried to explain that he was not Mark, but before he could speak, he noticed shadows outside and loud knocking at the door. Damian realized Albright's men had found him. He took Madeline's gun and opened the door. One of Albright's men attacked him, twisted his arm, and restrained him. Another man grabbed Madeline and knocked her unconscious. That's when Damian saw the truth. Anton was there. Anton was not his friend. He was Albright's man, secretly spying on Damian the entire time. Furious, Damian demanded answers. He had been told the body was lab-made, but it belonged to a real person. Damian demanded to know why they had destroyed Mark's family. Anton revealed that everything was done with Mark's consent. Mark needed money to save his seriously ill daughter, so he sold himself to them. After Mark was gone, Albright arranged insurance money for Madeline, which helped pay for their daughter's treatment. Madeline was never told the truth. She was made to believe her husband had drowned. Damian was shocked, but now that Madeline had seen her husband alive, she could expose Albright. For that reason, Anton planned to kill both Madeline and her daughter. Damian begged Anton to spare them, but Anton had clear orders from Albright. If Damian interfered, he was to be killed as well. However, Albright had made one mistake. He had placed Damian into the body of a trained soldier, and along with the memories, the soldier's combat skills were still active. Using those skills, Damian took down Albright's men one by one. Anton was badly injured in the fire, and Damian escaped with Madeline. Madeline still believed Damian was her husband, Mark. Confused and angry, she asked who the attackers were and where he had been all this time. Damian wanted to tell her the truth that Mark was dead, but this was not the right moment. His only concern was their safety, so he lied, saying he had made a deal with those men for money to save their daughter. Damian told Madeline that the deal had failed and those men were now after him. He said they needed to hide immediately. Madeline agreed. They went straight to Anna's school. While Madeline went to pick up her daughter, Damian checked her phone and found a birthday video. In it, Mark lovingly celebrated Anna's birthday, and Anna called her father her hero. Watching the video broke Damian's heart. He hated himself for destroying a happy family. Soon, Madeline returned with Anna. Seeing Damian, Anna happily hugged him, believing he was her father. Damian became emotional and thought of his own daughter, Claire. He silently promised to protect them at all costs. He took them to a motel to hide. Damian was anxious and saw no way out. Madeline and Anna wanted to talk, but Damian stayed distant, afraid they would discover the truth. He stepped outside and realized his red pills were finished. The medicine keeping him alive was gone. Desperate, Damian searched online for information about shedding medication, but found nothing. Instead, he came across another video of the famous neurologist Dr. Francis Janssen, who spoke about transferring the human mind into another body or a machine. This time, Damian also learned that Dr. Janssen was dead. As Damian watched closely, he noticed something strange. Francis kept tapping his glasses with his fingernail while speaking. Damian froze. He had seen Albright do the exact same thing. While watching the video, Damian suddenly noticed a familiar face sitting beside Francis. It was Albright. The truth hit him hard. Albright had been working with Francis all along. That meant Francis wasn't dead at all. He had transferred his consciousness into Albright's body. Albright was Francis. Damian dug deeper and learned that Francis's wife was still alive and being treated in a nursing home. He believed she was the key to finding the red pills. The next morning, morning, Damian took Madeline and Anna to New Orleans and went straight to the nursing home. He left them in the car and went to Frances's wife's room, hoping to find the pills. Instead, he discovered that she was mentally ill and couldn't help him. Realizing a direct approach wouldn't work, Damian took a risky step. At gunpoint, he forced the staff to call Frances. Frances rushed in, deeply worried about his wife. The moment he entered the room, Damian aimed the gun at him and demanded a large supply of the red pills. Frances tried to distract him and then revealed the shocking truth. Damian had been told only half the story. The red pills were not saving Damian's life. They were slowly, permanently erasing Mark's consciousness, memories, and military skills. If Damian took the pills for 1 full year, Mark would be completely erased and the body would become Damian's forever. But if Damian stopped taking the pills for just 1 week, Damian's consciousness would die and Mark would return to his body. After learning the truth, Damian was torn. He now had a choice: save himself or bring Madeline's husband, Mark, back to life. For the moment, Damian decided the safest option was to take the pills and escape. He forced Frances at gunpoint to go to his lab. But as they stepped outside, one of Frances's elite men attacked Damian. Frances ordered his man to lock Damian in the trunk of a car and take him to the lab. The man dragged Damian toward the car, but before he could trap him, Madeline suddenly appeared. The distraction gave Damian a chance to fight back. He killed all the men, except one. The last man overpowered Damian and began choking him. Just as Damian was about to lose consciousness, Madeline picked up a gun and shot the attacker. The bullet grazed his ear, and he collapsed. In that moment, Damian noticed a coin pendant around the man's neck, the same lucky coin Anton used to wear. The truth was clear. Anton was not dead. Frances had transferred Anton's consciousness into this man's body. Damian grabbed the red pills from him and escaped with Madeline and Anna. After everything she had seen, Madeline could no longer stay silent. She asked Damian to stop the car and demanded the truth, what was happening and where he was taking them. Damian knew he couldn't lie anymore. He told her everything: how Frances had deceived him with a fake story about a lab-made body and placed him inside her husband Mark's body instead. Madeline's world collapsed in an instant. She broke down in tears and told Damian to leave her sight. But Damian did not run away. He apologized and promised to protect Madeline and Anna first. He said he would take them to a safe place, give them enough money to live happily, and then disappear from their lives forever. Somehow he managed to calm her down. Damian now needed help, and there was only one person he trusted: his old friend Martin. He took Madeline and Anna to Martin's house and told him the entire truth. At first, Martin thought Damian was a fraud because he had seen Damian die. But Damian convinced him by recalling personal memories only the two of them shared. Martin finally agreed to help. Damian asked him to buy a house on a remote, safe island and arrange a private plane. Martin said he needed some time to set everything up. During this time, Damian, Madeline, and Anna hid at Martin's house. Damian spent time with Anna, giving her the fatherly love she deserved. Seeing this, Madeline slowly began to trust him and later apologized for her earlier behavior. After some time, Damian and Madeline realized Anna was missing and started searching for her. While searching, Damian noticed something strange. Every mirror in Martin's house was covered with curtains. He found Anna in a room playing with a young boy. The moment Damian saw the boy, he panicked and quickly took Anna away. The truth was horrifying. Martin's son had died, and the only explanation was that Martin had used shedding technology to transfer his son's consciousness into another innocent child. Damian realized that Martin was also one of Frances's clients. It was now clear that Martin had informed Frances about Damian's location. Holding a gun, Damian confronted Martin and demanded the truth. Broken and helpless, Martin admitted it. He said Frances had threatened to kill his son if he didn't cooperate. Martin also confessed that he had transferred his son's consciousness before Damian and had been the one who sent Damian the Phoenix biogenic lab card because he couldn't bear to watch his friend die. Martin still believed that Frances used lab-made empty bodies. Damian shattered that illusion. He revealed the truth that the child hosting Martin's son was a real innocent boy. Hearing this, Martin was devastated with guilt. Damian decided to leave with Madeline and Anna, but Martin stopped them, warning that Frances's men were waiting outside and would kill them if they went out together. Damian came up with a plan. Martin would secretly take Madeline and Anna through the back exit, while Damian would drive out the front to distract Frances's men. Martin agreed and gave Damian a cafe location where they would reunite. He also arranged a truck to help them escape the city. Damian drove out alone. Outside, Anton was waiting with his men. They chased Damian and opened fire, but Mark's soldier training was still alive inside Damian. Using those skills, Damian killed Anton's men and caused a deadly crash that took Anton out of the chase. Meanwhile, Martin was escaping through the forest with Madeline and Anna. Exhausted, he stopped to rest, while Madeline and Anna moved ahead. When Madeline reached the road, she saw a car approaching and tried to ask for help. Martin shouted to stop her, but she couldn't hear him. The car stopped. Men stepped out and kidnapped Madeline and Anna. They were Frances's men. Later, Damian reached the cafe location and waited anxiously. Martin arrived alone. Seeing him, Damian panicked. Martin told him the truth truth, Francis's men had taken Madeline and Anna. Damian was crushed. Martin apologized deeply and handed Damian some pills and a note. He revealed that he had secretly reverse-engineered Francis's medicine and written the formula on the paper. Martin begged Damian to forget Madeline and Anna and escape to Mexico. He said people there could make enough medicine to keep Damian alive for a year. But Damian refused. He was determined to save Madeline and Anna at any cost. Damian knew Francis must have taken them to his secret lab, but neither he nor Martin knew its location. Then Martin realized something important. Mark, the man whose body Damian was using, must know where the lab was. Mark had willingly gone there, so Francis would have shown him the location to earn his trust. That night, Damian and Martin stayed at a motel. Damian deliberately skipped his pill so Mark's memories would surface. As expected, Damian suffered a seizure, and within Mark's memories, he finally saw the location of the secret lab. The next morning, Damian reached the location Mark had remembered. Francis's secret lab was hidden inside an old building. Damian fought his way inside, killing Francis's men, and reached the chamber where the shedding machine was kept. Inside the machine lay Anton, connected to another body. After the crash, Anton's body was useless, so Francis was transferring him into a new one. Damian moved forward to kill Anton, but suddenly he heard Francis's voice. Francis was watching him from behind a bulletproof glass room. Damian fired at him, but the glass stopped the bullets. Damian demanded to know where Madeline and Anna were. Francis coldly replied that he had found 2 new clients and planned to transfer them into Madeline's and Anna's bodies. He also planned to kill Damian and place Anton into Mark's body. Before Damian could react, 2 armed men attacked and restrained him. Just in time, Damian noticed an empty bullet shell on the floor and secretly hid it in his mouth. One of the men stunned Damian with a taser, knocking him unconscious. Francis immediately placed Damian into the machine and began transferring Anton into his body, unaware that Damian had hidden a metal shell in his mouth. Francis himself had once warned that even a small metal object could disrupt the magnetic machine. Damian remembered this well. When the machine stopped, Anton was dead, and Damian was still alive in Mark's body. Damian pretended to be Anton. Francis believed him and ordered him to prepare for work again. Damian walked out with Francis's men and asked where Madeline and Anna were being held. They led him to a room where Madeline and Anna were imprisoned, the same room behind the glass facing the machine. The moment he got the chance, Damian killed the guards. Meanwhile, Francis began to sense that something was wrong. Francis walked toward the machine while Damian watched closely. When Francis noticed the bullet shell inside the machine, he exploded with rage. He immediately realized the transfer had failed. Anton was not inside Mark's body. Damian was. Before Francis could react, Damian attacked. From behind the glass, he unleashed fire with a flamethrower. The intense flames burned through the glass and engulfed Francis. Francis was burned alive, and his machine was destroyed forever. Damian escaped the lab safely with Madeline and Anna. Martin had already arranged a boat for them. Keeping his promise, Damian sent Madeline and Anna to a safe island and gave them enough money to live peacefully for the rest of their lives. But during this journey, Damian realized something painful: money is not everything. Life is incomplete without family. For the last time, Damian met his daughter as a stranger. He handed her a letter saying it was from her father, Damian. In the letter, he told her how deeply he loved her, how he had failed to give her time, and how sorry he was for that. Damian stayed away from his daughter, but he didn't want Mark to lose his family too. He stopped taking the medicine for an entire week. Slowly, his consciousness inside Mark's body faded away forever. Mark finally got his body back. Mark woke up as if from a deep sleep. He remembered only up to the moment when he had gone to Francis for money, ready to give up his life. But Damian had left behind a video message on the laptop revealing the entire truth to Mark. Mark immediately went to the island where his wife and daughter were spending happy moments. Seeing Mark alive, Madeline and Anna burst with joy. Their broken family was finally reunited, and with this, the film comes to an end.